Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the Darwin FPV Baby Ape 3 Pro. It's a 3.5-inch quad. This version does have GPS, but there are several versions available. If you're looking at what I have here, which is analog, I see it at $192.99, which Darwin FPV has kind of built a reputation on the budget line of our drones. But cheap is good, but can good be cheap? We're not paying for accessories or a fancy box. So what are we paying for? Let's find out. The motors are Darwin FPV branded Bling 1504 4000 kV motors. And on those motors are the HQ T 3.5 by 2.5 by 3. Of course, they're tri-bladed. That's the last three. You can see there, I have GPS, which this unit is different than the first unit that I got. This board right here is the VTX, and it is spec'd at 1.2 watts of power. And connecting that is a circular polarized, right-hand circular polarized Darwin FPV antenna. The all-in-one flight controller is also Darwin FPV branded. It's an F435 30 amp AM32 all-in-one flight controller, and it does have a small cap soldered directly to the power leads. They say the camera is the Caddx Ant, but I've never seen a Caddx Ant that looks like this. Maybe it's just got a protective case around it. Of course, the battery is an XT30. The batteries sit in the cage vertically. USB port right up top, and it is USB-C. If you want the foot pads, that's an extra accessory that you have to select when you're selecting the particular bind and fly quad. I'll link the Darwin FPV page down in the video description down below, but I would suggest if you have a 3D printer, making your own or buy it with 3D printed foot pads, because none of the screws on the bottom plate are countersunk, so they would all wear down as we land and slide across concrete and asphalt. The arms are not removable. This is just a bottom plate, and it is 3mm thick, with the side plates being 2mm thick, and the plate that the battery sits on is also 2mm thick. Baby Ape 3 Pro weighs 155.71 grams, and with their 850 milliamp battery, it weighs 229.4 grams. With a 720 milliamp battery, it weighs 222.28 grams. I found that this GPS module got satellites very quickly, day over day. Like my first flight out for the day, under 30 seconds I would have 9 satellites. So if you're doing any sort of rangy flying and you set up, it doesn't come by default the setup to return to home, but you can use Betaflight and switches to do return to home. You know, I found that it got GPS satellites real quickly, and I didn't have to plug in a battery bank to power it up for a while to get those. I think the maximum number of satellites I ever received was 15. I think we'll see that during this flight. You can see we're already up to, we're fluctuating between 8 and 10. You can also see I've got the speed up there. I believe that's kilometers per hour. I can't remember if I set it up for imperial or metric units. I can't remember, but anywho, we've got all these different features, and you can see in the top right-hand corner how it says REC and then that bar. That's my video reception from my HD0 goggles. So you might not see that depending upon whether you have those goggles or not. And then we've got kind of an overlay as well on the left-hand side, where I normally don't have this stuff in the recording. I apologize, I didn't notice it was on all this time. Where it has the fan and the padlock, the value for our throttle position, which is right behind it, so a little bit tough to see, but still available. And tell me, does this stuff matter? Because when I look at it, I kind of cringe, and I'm like, oh, dang it, I forgot. Even when I put the flight video together with the flight audio, I didn't even recognize that I had recorded the HD0 overlay. Normally it's off. I must have made a setting change, but back to the drone. It can fly for a good long time, so if you use the 850 that they have on their website, it will fly for about 10 minutes on average. I got between 10:10 and 10:20 as far as the 850 goes. On a 720, I got a little over 9 minutes. Now that one fluctuated a little bit more because I was using my own 720s. So that one fluctuated about 20 seconds from 9 minutes and 10 seconds all the way up to 9 minutes and 33 seconds. So if you're just cruising and doing flat flying, those are the sorts of flight times. Of course, this is on a 720, and the flight's going to be about 3 minutes and 45 seconds of this style of flight that you see in front of you. I didn't find any issues with the PID tune and tracking. There wasn't excessive bounce back or lack of control or anything like that. So most of the companies nowadays are doing a good job of doing PID tunes. Some are just a touch better. Sometimes I think that that's just, you know, our own bias for a particular style of PID tune. Also, the power to weight ratio can really speak to us, and that's not necessarily about the PID tune itself. But for the most part, thankfully, for the last few years, manufacturers have done a much better job in doing PID tunes. It didn't used to be that way. As reviewers, we used to have to do the PID tunes. So a lot of times people would watch the reviews after they had bought a product because they needed a PID tune, because it would come without a PID tune. It just had the defaults on there. Of course, that was that as many as 6 years ago? It's hard for me to remember. So the thing that I think I have to call out the most is that it does have this specific kind of battery tray. While you're not locked into necessarily one size of battery, you do have a limit as to how big of battery and the shape of the battery that you can use. I've covered this previously. This particular quad has been a long haul. I think I got this way back in like January or something like that, but the GPS module didn't work originally. And so, I had some communication with Darwin FPV. This was sent by them for the review. That was my finger slipping. I was trying to make an adjustment in air so that's not the quad kind of falling around. I was trying to make a sneaky adjustment. It didn't work. That's why I used this particular flight, because I thought that was funny. That I thought I could sneak in a finger move and it wouldn't be noticeable in the flight footage. That was silly. But anywho, getting a second GPS module took a while. But the flight has ended. You see I flew a little bit too long, so I would say on average you're probably going to get about 5 to 10 seconds less. So I would say 330 to 340 would be about the time you'll see on a 720 milliamp battery. And we're 2 meters from home. And on to my most dramatic crash, which without sound, it doesn't look that dramatic. But keep in mind there's two fences. There's our interior fence that's on the wood side, and then my neighbors have another fence. We kind of have a row of greenery and shrubbery over there. And the reason why I call that out is when I have my crash, it's going to hop our fence and land against our neighbor's fence. And that's not readily, from what you'll see in the in footage, it's something you might not notice as we go flying over that fence, and now you can see that's my neighbor's fence that I had to go over and collect that from. All right, so the first thing to call out is kind of my normal thing. The battery lead is just hanging out. In this case, because of this battery tray that we have here, the chances that we have a battery ejection on a crash are a little bit less, but still I would do something like pull out a little bit of this slack and just zip tie it over here somewhere, just to give it a little slack between your zip tie point and the flight controller itself. You may also want to just run a zip tie kind of diagonally across the wire and through this part. That might work out for you. Keep in mind that the battery mat is only on the sides. It's not on the bottom. So if you do a zip tie here, it might bump your battery up a little bit. And they make their own specialized batteries for this particular, well, they do it for all three sizes that they've recently launched, which you would think maybe initially that locks you in. Let me just take this battery strap off. Take this out. Okay, so their battery, their 850, that fits obviously the tightest. The 850 that I flew, I'll have to get out. But the 750, as you can see, it's a little bit loose here. So these are a little bit loose, but you can still use the battery strap. It's fine. This is what I flew most of the time. Of course, G&B 850, which is essentially this one with a special cap end to eliminate the battery lead. It's actually a little bit loose compared to this. I'm wondering if this label is underrated. I'm wondering if this is maybe closer to a 930, because I did get longer flight times with their 850 than my 850. But my 850s are, cycled through a few times. So that was something else that I should probably mention, is that this is a pretty fresh and brand new battery versus this is well loved and well used, and they are a little bit loose. Like, again, just to do this example, this is, tight enough where you can pick it up. And I would expect their other batteries to kind of just be shorter and fatter in order to do the same. But the 720s, the 720 here on the G&B, straight G&B, yeah, that fits pretty good, but it's squeezing it mainly up here at the front. It's not really squeezing it back here in the back. Just to redo that again. So this 720, for some reason, is just thinner. But these are the same batteries. Let's not be confusing. Okay, battery discussion taken care of. Okay, our USB port, it's right up top, real easy. Getting the GPS in and out is, because I had to do it, is, it's not undoable, obviously, because I did it, but just kind of plying or bending the 3D printer around with something that sticks in my mind as being a little bit of a struggle for me. So keep that in mind if you have to replace the GPS. And the first GPS, which unfortunately I don't have on my desk anymore, or it's buried, did not look like this as far as the print on here. And I also see the image that they show on their website does not look like this. So I'm hopeful that they're actually using this one for all their production ones and they haven't shipped me something different than what they're actually using. But I have to mention it and call it out. I do appreciate the fact that they have these motor wires taped down with my favorite motor wire tape, which I link down in the video description down below. It's an Amazon link. I think there's also maybe an AliExpress link to the same tape that I have ordered. The Express LRS antenna runs through the carbon fiber. I did notice that every once in a while I would get some low telemetry call outs from my radio. It actually just vibrates. It's how I have it set up. And I'm wondering if this setup is, I know it's not ideal, because ideal you'd want it nice, high, and proud. But I'm wondering if this setup with it poking through the carbon fiber is causing that. Or it's just, I run pretty high rates, pretty high packet rates when I do these quads. It's just what I've gotten comfortable with. And so that's what I've been running for a while. As far as the mounting of these side plates goes, they go through the bottoms. And then they have these screws, and then there is a nut. Hopefully you can see the nut just above the bottom carbon fiber plates. So if you take this apart, be careful not to lose those nuts. Those are just standard nuts that are metal, but they're what hold the plates down to the bottom plate. And that's, a critical importance if you are doing any sort of repairs. They are using Phillips screws everywhere. Yeah, no, not everywhere. So these are Phillips. Are those Phillips? My eye's failing me here. Okay, so I stand corrected. Those are all hex head screws. It looks like even hex head. Let me test. I'll just, instead of getting my magnifiers out, that's hex as well. Another hex. Okay, so they haven't used Phillips screws. To me, my eye, those just look like Phillips screws. My vision isn't the best anymore. It's starting to fade. But you can also see, if you're the builder type and you are intrigued or want to try this frame, that you have other mounting options for other VTXs that are out here. Let me get my calipers and we'll measure those. So it looks like those are 25mm holes. It probably says this on the website as well, but I get asked these questions. But now I've got it covered right here in video format. So that is the Darwin FPV Baby Ape 3 Pro. When you go to their website, do be careful. Link down in the video description. But when you go to their website and you select different versions of this, on my Chrome browser, I noticed the price was not automatically updating. So what I would do is I'd select like an option for getting batteries with it and then go back and select the option for none. When you go to the website, be certain you know what you're getting and how much you're paying for it, because that dynamic pricing that we expect to see when we select different products on one page, it just doesn't seem to be happening. Or there's something coded within their page that Chrome doesn't like, which would be a little bit unusual. But I just wanted to pass that along so that you don't click on something and it shows $169, which is the base version without an Express LRS receiver in it. And then you think you're getting one with an 04 Pro in it. So just be careful. Make sure you're paying attention to that and whether that dynamic pricing is actually changing when you select different options. Like I said, I'll link Darwin FPV's Baby Ape 3 Pro down in the video description if you are interested. If you have any other comments, questions, suggestions, or concerns. Do you have a Darwin FPV product? Has anyone bought their care card and can tell me about how it works or if it doesn't work? Because I see that on every one of their product pages, the care card. I'd like to know. Please let me know down in the comments section down below. I appreciate your time. And thanks for watching.